Hello, my name is Brad Hunt, and today is the 7th day of January 2023. It's a sunny day today, and I want to do this particular video and share some info from Michael Hoffman's book, Secret Society and Psychological Warfare. I've done a couple series on this particular book. I bought this book many years ago. I read it. Anyway, it's just enlightening, I should say. So what I'm going to do is read from a particular sections of the book today, which is called simply as the Trinity Site, and then also to do on to another particular section of the book called the Alchemy of Ritual Murder. And we'll probably stop there. We may go in another thing, but let's see how it goes. Okay. So let me get right to the particular area I need to get to, so I can read it to you, so you can understand. So this again is from Michael A. Hoffman II, called Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare. This particular section is called the Trinity Site, SIGHT. Perhaps the leaders of the world system are mad. Perhaps perhaps that's all they are. But if they are mad and they really do believe their own hallucinations, then we may still wish to pay attention to these, to see what form they have taken and will take, because our would-be shepherds have method in their madness and great deal of power. I need to do something real quick here. Hold on just a second for me. Make it a little bit easier for me to read. The creation and destruction of primordial matter, the killing of the divine king, the bringing of prima marital to prima terra. Since ancient times, since ancient times, these were the goals of the Gnostic, Rosicrucian, Masonic, Hermetical Academy. A elite as real and corporate as President Bush Skull and Bones Society at Yale University, Bohemian Grove in California, Dr. John Whiteside Parsons Ordo Temple Oriental OTO, also in California, General Albert Pike's Scottish and Palladian Rites of Freemasonry, and a host of lesser initiatives. All of these cults have or had the highest possible office connections and old boy networks. The creation of the destruction of primordial matter was accomplished at the Whitehead, that is the Ancient of Dead, at White Sands, New Mexico. It's called the Trinity Site. The Trinity Site itself is located at the beginning of an ancient western road known in Old Mexico as the Journey of the Dead Man. Early in this century, a Freemason named Peter Kern, K-E-R-N, was ordered to build a highly symbolic gate of death at a key point on this ancient trail. It was known as the Gate with 1,000 Doors. At the front of this gate, Kern was ceremonially murdered, decapitalized by a hooded executioner. Gary Trudeau satirized the Aztec Masonic Comazoto head chopping cult of the American Southwest in a series of December 1988 with Doonesbury, Doonesbury, cartoons which depleted Skull and Bones initiatives trying to dispose of a number of heads, including that of Pancho Villa, a key political operative of the Cryptophacy, who was in fact also ritually decapitated. Other occult rituals for the creation and destruction of primordial matter were played out in the general area of the 33rd degree of north parallel latitude in Truth or Consequences in New Mexico. The Trinity Site is also at this latitude. There are 33 segments in the human spinal column, which, according to occult lore, is the vehicle of the fiery ascent of the Kundalini serpent force, which resides in the human body. 33 is the highest degree of Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Near the Trinity Site, a derivative shack was symbolically dubbed McDonald's House. The creation and destruction of primordial matter occurred exactly on the Trinity Site, the place of fire, with the explosion of the first atomic bomb, culminating untold thousands of years of alchemy, speculation, and practice. The killing of the king rite was accomplished at another Trinity site located approximately 10 miles south of the 33 degree of north parallel latitude between the Trinity River and the Triple Underpass at Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. Dealey Plaza was the site of the first Masonic temple in Dallas. In this spot, which has been known during the 19th century cowboy era as Bloody Elm Street, the world leader who had become known as the King of Camelot, that is President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, was shot to death. A widely publicized image, which has become perhaps the key symbol of the enigma of the Kennedy hoodwink, emerged immediately in the wake of the assassination. A photograph of three tramps in official custody who were later unexplainably released and never identified, through speculation about who they really were, and had reached fever pitch among investigators. This photograph is a ritual accompaniment of the black mass that was the ceremony immolation of a king, the unmistakably calling card of Masonic murder, the appearance of Jubela, as Jubela. Jubela and Jubelum, the three unworthy craftsmen of Temple Burgeskist, that will not be blamed for nothing. This ritual symbolism is necessary for the accomplishment of what James Shepard Downer, D-O-W-N-A-R-D, and I described in the first edition of Apocalypse Culture as the alchemy and intention of the killing of the king of Camelot. The ultimate purpose of that assassination was not political or economic, but sorcery. The control of the dreaming mind and the marshaling of its forces is the omnipotent force in this entire scenario of lies, cruelty, and degradation. Something died in American people on November 22nd, 1963. Call it idealism, innocence, or the quest for moral excellence. It is the transformation of human beings which is the authentic reason and motive for the Kennedy murder. So what they're saying is simply it's the destruction of what we call idealism, the hope of men here in America, the innocence, and also to be morally excellent people. They say this date number. If someone actually does this, would know something about this, it would be interesting. The time this happened, that is 11/22/1963, of the murder of Kennedy. It would be interesting to see what really was going on in the sky at that time. Just curious. Someone would like to bring that forth. I'd be interested, or others might be interested also. The seemingly random and senseless slaughter of a president the week before Thanksgiving by having his head blown apart in those now infamous Zapruder film frames and the signposts of humanity's entry into what David Kronsberg, in his Videodrome Rosicrucian cinematic manifesto termed savage new times. The search for the three assassins has become a trip up and down Tim Milligan's ladder, a ladder containing one false step after another. It is a Masonic riddle several magnitudes above the pedestrian CIA-Mafia-Anti-Castro-KGB-Texas right-wing, etc., political solutions pushed by the various books and movies, which sometimes only serve to confuse and demoralize us all the more. Continue. The alchemy of ritual murder. What ought to be unambiguously to any student of mass psychology is the almost immediate decline of the American people in the wake of this shocking televised slaughter. There are many indicators of the transformation. Within a year, Americans had largely switched from a softer tone, naturally colored cotton clothing to a garnished color artificial polyester. Popular music became louder, faster, and more cacophonous. Drugs appeared for the first time outside of the bohemian subculture ghettos. In the mainstream, streams of every kind came into fashion. Revolution in cognitive and behavior were on the horizon, from the Beatles to Charles Manson, from free love to LSD. The killers were not caught. The Warren Commission was a whitewashed. There's a sense that the men who ordered the assassination were grinning somewhere over cocktails, and out of this near psychedelic wonder seized the American population like awesome chivalry before the realization that whoever could kill the president of the United States in broad daylight and can get away with it could get away with anything. A hidden government behind the visible government of the United States became painfully obvious in a kind of a subliminal way and lent a uncurrent of the hallucinations to our reality. Welcome to Oz. Thanks to the men behind Ozworld, W-A-L-D, and Ruby. Connections there with Oz and Ruby Slippers. There was a transfer of power in the collective group mind of the American past from the public power of the elected front man, chief executive, to an unelected, invisible college capable of terminating him with impunity. For the first time in their history since 1826, Masonic assassination of writer William Morgan, Americans were forced to confront the reality of a hidden power ruling their world. Sir James Frazer, writing in The Golden Earl, A Study in Magic and Religion, explains that when the divine king is murdered by one who is himself stronger or craftier, those powers of divinity which were the king's are sympathetically and contagiously transferred from the vantage to the victor. The entry of this awareness in the subconscious group of dreaming that is mind of the American masses institute a new simulacrum. Spell that for you, simulacrum. S-I-M-U-L-A-C-R-U-M. The shocking introduction of a diametric different new reality is a classic scenario of another phase of alchemy programming known to the cryptocracy as Clamores, C-L-A-M-O-R-E-S. Dave Marsh, writing in the Rolling Stone magazine, February 24, 1977, the Beatles have always had an intimate connection to the JF assassination. He was shot the week before Thanksgiving, 1963. By February 64, the Beatles were the #1 in the national charts, and climatic appearance on the Ed Sullivan TV show occurred. Even Brian Epstein, the manager of the Beatles, believed the Kennedy assassination helped their rise. The Beatles appeared to bind our wounds with their message of joy and hand-holding, and the way was paved, replacing Camelot with Oz. Now, the American people were forced to confront a scary alternate reality, the reality of a shadow government over which they have neither control or knowledge. The shepherding process was thus accelerated with a vengeance. Avant-garde advertisement, music, politics, and news would hereafter deplete, especially in the electronic media, sometimes fleetingly, sometimes openly, a shadow side of reality, a underground, immoral funhouse, currently associated with extreme sex, extreme violence, and extreme speed. The static image of the suit and tie talking heads of established religion, government, politics, and business were suddenly shown to be subordinated to the shadow state, which the American people were gradually getting a bigger glimpse of out of the corner of their collective eye. The interesting function of this phenomenon is that it simultaneously produces both terror and adulation and undercuts any offensive against it among its recipients, which does not possess the same jump-cut speed and funhouse eminence. There is a sense of existing in a palace of marbles manipulated by beautiful but satanic princes possessed of so much knowledge and power and experience as to be vastly superior to the rest of humanity. They have been everywhere. They have done everything. They can run the show which mesmerizes us. We're determined to watch it. We are transfixed and desperate to see their newest productions, their latest thrilling revelation, even when the thrills are solely based upon the further confirmation of our dehumanization. J.G. Ballard, that is B-A-L-L-A-R-D, this overlit realm ruled by images of the space race and the Vietnam War, the Kennedy assassination, and the suicide of Marilyn Monroe, a unique alchemy of the imagination was taking place. The demise of feeling and emotion, the death of effect, presided like a morbid sun over the playground of that ominous decade. The role assigned to us is that of zombies called upon by our shadow master to perform bit parts and act as stock characters in their specialized or specially spectacular show. This mesmerizing process produces a demoralized, cynical double mind. Let's continue. This section is called from Hoffman called Rosemary's Baby. Again, on December 8, 1980, the Apostle of Luhu, L-E-U-H-B, Beatles John Lennon had his own highly symbolic appointment with death at the hand of one of the decayed products of the rock and roll culture, K-U-L-C-H-U-R, he helped create. It was shot in front of his New York residence, the Dakota Building, where the film Rosemary Baby had been made about the nurturing of Satan's children. One of the sons of Sam's killers wrote, "I, David Berkowitz, have been chosen since birth to be one of the executioners for the cult." This is in Ultimate Evil, page 55. Another of the Sam's cultists, as a wealthy Manhattan hired, H-E-I-R, filled a townhouse with young children, which were referred to by initiatives as the nursery. Some Son of Sam initiatives were directly referred to in the cult as the children. Graffiti left behind by the cult read, "My children, I'm raising to be killers. Wait till they grow up." In Lincoln's assassin, Mark David Chapman, we see the same old pattern surfacing. The lone nut, appearing from nowhere, leaves the murder weapon and the room full of evidence for the police to show to the public, blanks out and immediately untransported to a government psychiatric facility for a Thorazine debriefing and a further hypnosis. The Manchurian Candidate, suspect of the assassin, was none too subtle. It would be inaccurate to assure that there is a vast network of physically snatching kids for Satan. A tiny segment of youngsters are probably raised from birth for special projects, as Richard Falco, aka David Berkowitz, was. But the operative reference here is to the possessing of a generation of youth, perhaps more like Mark David Chapman, whose minds are the province of a kleptocracy by remote media control. Who are these children? They have the same address as you. The televised Videodrome is the real nursery for America's Rosemary babies, that is, your babies. Hence, on a grand scale, Rosemary's Babies are transformed from the specters at the JFK Pageantry and the Lennon Pageantry as well, and other Videodrome pageants, because contrary to what the vastly outclassed run-of-the-mill conspiracy researchers believe, the issue is not getting the facts out in the open. They are already in the open, albeit sometimes subtle for all to see. Kirkopsy placed them there, wants them to be seen, and leaves furtively the way a shadow is glimpsed out of the corner of the eye in the making manifest of all that is hidden. As in the movie Apocalypse Now, about the modern reenactment of the killing of the king, right, with the victim, an American Green Beret colonel who had gone native and became a pagan god king to the superstitious Cambodians. Towards the end of the film, the camera casually, almost randomly roams around across a pile of books in the hut of Colonel Kurtz, K-U-R-T-Z. The audience can clearly see that one of these books is Sir James Fraser's The Golden Burr, a study of magic and religion. Right out in the open in the Videodrome, that's how Rosemary Babies are created. They are the new great American heroes. Remember the 1981 ABC comedy series, The Greatest American Hero? It premiered 2 weeks before Hinckley's shooting of President Ronald Reagan and made the top 20 Nielsen's rating. In it, the greatest American hero was named Hinckley. Someone's grinding at us that week. Someone was diddling with the mind of America. Edgar Allan Poe writings and diddling is considered as one of the exact sciences. Your true diddler, so to speak, winds up all with a grin. But this nobody sees but himself. He grins when his daily work is done, when the allotted labors are accomplished at night in his own closet, and altogether for his own private entertainment. He goes home, he locks his door, he divests himself of his clothes and puts out his candle. He gets into bed, places his head upon the pillow. All this is done, and your diddler grins. This is no hypocrisy. It's a matter of course. I reason a priority, and a diddler would be no diddler without a grin. So I just want to share that with you. Again, this is from Michael Hoffman, called The Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare upon the People. It's like a trance, so to speak, here. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching. We'll probably do some more of this in the near future. Thank you for being here. Take care.